My family enjoyed every privilege I provided. But when my gift was forgotten, I finally exposed their hypocrisy and ended it for good. I, 32 meters, have always been the reliable one in my family. The planner, the problem solver, the person who makes sure things don't fall apart. If there was a birthday, I was the one making sure there were decorations, gifts, and a cake. If there was a holiday gathering, I was the one organizing who brought what. My older sister, Caleb, 36 female, and younger brother, Jenna, 29 male, never took on that responsibility. They always assumed things would just happen. For years, I made the effort. I remembered their kids' birthdays, bought thoughtful gifts, and made sure their children felt celebrated. And what did I get in return? Nothing. My own birthday would come and go without so much as a text from them, not even a generic happy birthday in the family group chat. But when their kids' birthdays rolled around, they had no problem sending me lists of what their children wanted or asking me to help with party planning. It finally hit me just how one-sided everything was when my birthday passed last month. I didn't expect anything big, just a simple acknowledgement, but as usual, silence. No text from Caleb, no call from Jenna, nothing. It wasn't that they forgot, because forgetting implies they ever made the effort to remember in the first place. That's when I decided to run a little test. My nephew Lily, 8 male, Caleb's son, had a birthday coming up. Normally I would have already been texting Caleb to ask about themes, decorations, or what Lily wanted as a gift. But this year I did nothing. No reminders, no offers to help, no last-minute Target run for forgotten party supplies. I wanted to see if my absence would even be noticed or if my role in their lives was simply that of an unpaid event planner. The week leading up to Lily's birthday, the family group chat was full of random messages, memes, a news article someone thought was interesting, a debate about where to go for Thanksgiving. But not a single message from Caleb or Jenna asking me about Lily's birthday. I had expected at least a "hey, are you coming?" or even a passive-aggressive "don't forget Lily's big day," but nothing. I made sure to clear my schedule that weekend. No excuses. If they realized I wasn't there, I wanted to be completely unavailable for any last-minute guilt trips. The party came and went, and my phone stayed silent. The next day, I checked the family group chat. Still no mention of my absence, not a single "we missed you" or "wish you could have been there." Nothing. Then I saw it. Caleb had posted a picture from the party on Facebook, Lily standing in front of his cake, smiling with his missing front teeth, surrounded by balloons and presents. The caption, "Great party. Real family always comes through." Oh, so that's how it was. Still, I said nothing. If they wanted to pretend my absence didn't matter, fine. I wasn't going to bring it up. But of course, Jenna couldn't leave it alone. A few hours later, I got a text from him. "Why did you ditch Lily's birthday?" I stared at my phone for a moment. There was no "hey, we missed you," no concern, just immediate blame. I kept my reply simple. "Oh, I completely forgot. It slipped my mind." The irony of it was almost funny. This was the exact excuse they had used on me before. "Oh, sorry, your birthday slipped my mind. Oh, things got so busy I forgot to text you." But when it was their turn to be ignored, suddenly it was a crime. Less than 10 minutes later, my phone started blowing up. Caleb, furious, stormed into the group chat. "Really? You forgot Lily's birthday? You know how much he loves you. He was devastated when he realized you weren't there." I didn't respond right away. I let them keep going. Jenna jumped in, calling me selfish, saying I should have at least sent a gift. My mom predictably sent a disappointed, "I just don't understand why you do this" message. And then, when they had all gotten their anger out, I dropped a single message, funny. "You all forgot my birthday last month, and I guess it only matters when it happens to you." Silence. No one responded for a solid hour. Then Caleb finally tried to justify it. "That's different. You're an adult. But for kids, birthdays are a huge deal, and missing one is really hurtful." Oh, so now birthdays only matter when they're for kids. That was interesting, considering how upset they were over this one. Jenna took a different approach. "You're being so pathetic, keeping score over something like this." Pathetic. Keeping score. Right, because when I spent years putting in the effort, that was fine. But the moment I stopped, I was the problem. I didn't argue. I didn't try to explain myself. I just left the chat on read. For the first time in a long time, I made a decision. I was done bending over backward for people who only noticed my existence when it benefited them. If this was the reaction I got for missing one birthday, then they had just proven exactly how little they valued me beyond what I could do for them. I didn't feel guilty. I didn't feel bad. If anything, I felt lighter. And I had a feeling this wasn't the end of it. I figured they'd be annoyed for a day, maybe throw some passive-aggressive remarks in the family group chat, and then move on like they always did when I was the one hurt. But of course, they weren't going to let this go. Not because they cared about me, but because they didn't like what my absence exposed. The next morning, my phone buzzed. Caleb's name flashed across the screen. Not a call, just a long text. Lily was confused when he realized I wasn't there. "Did Uncle forget?" Caleb claimed he asked. She told me he seemed a little sad, but he was quickly distracted by his presents and cake. Right, because an 8-year-old's biggest concern at his own birthday party was my absence. I ignored the message. I wasn't about to entertain whatever guilt trip she was trying to pull. But less than an hour later, another text came in. "You need to fix this. Lily was broken." Fix what exactly? The fact that I hadn't spent my own money and time organizing a party for her kid? I didn't respond. But Caleb wasn't done. A few hours later, a message popped up in the family group chat. "Lily is still really sad about what happened. Maybe we can do something small for him this weekend." My name, "I know you didn't mean to hurt him, but you should be the one to plan it." There it was, the real reason for all this dramatics. Caleb didn't actually care about Lily's feelings. She just wanted me to do what I'd always done. Step in, fix the mess, and make everything easy for her. Jenna jumped in immediately, backing her up. "It wouldn't kill you to do something nice for your nephew. You made your point. Just make it up to him and move on." Like clockwork, the second Caleb needed something, Jenna was right there helping to push the guilt along. I finally responded, "I'll make it up to him at Christmas. Isn't that what you always tell me when you forget my birthday?" Silence. A few minutes passed before Jenna responded, "Wow, you're really being petty over a kid's birthday." Petty. That word again. Funny how standing up for myself was petty, but expecting me to be the family's unpaid event planner for years wasn't. I put my phone down, thinking it would be the end of it. But then my mom called. I didn't pick up at first, but she called again and again. By the fourth call I gave in. The second I answered, she sighed like I was already exhausting her. "Why are you starting all this drama over a child's birthday?" Not even a question about why I missed it, just immediate blame. I didn't argue. I just told her the truth. Because I wanted to see if anyone actually noticed when I didn't put in all the effort. And you know what? No one did. Until now. Until you needed something from me. She tried to brush it off. "Oh, come on, you know we love you." Really? Then why didn't a single person remember my birthday last month? Silence. I waited. Nothing. Then Caleb, unable to let it go, finally responded in the group chat. "If your birthday was such a big deal to you, you should have said something." Right, because it was my responsibility to remind my own siblings that I exist. I had spent years making sure their kids had great birthdays. I had spent money, time, and effort making things special for them. But the second I stopped, I was selfish. I was dramatic. I was the problem. Jenna jumped in again, trying to gaslight me into thinking I was overreacting. "You're making such a big deal out of this. No one meant to hurt you. You're twisting everything." I responded with one final message. "If you only care about me when I miss something, that says a lot." And just like that, the group chat went completely silent. Not one of them had anything to say to that. No apologies, no acknowledgement, just nothing. For the first time, I saw things clearly. This wasn't about Lily, this was about control. They were upset because they realized they couldn't rely on me to be the one who always showed up, who always did the work. They weren't mad that I missed the birthday. They were mad that I had stopped playing my role. I put my phone down, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel the need to explain myself. I didn't feel guilty. I didn't feel obligated to fix anything. I just felt free. I thought that after I shut them down in the group chat, that would be the end of it. No response, no apology, just silence. But I underestimated just how desperate Caleb and Jenna would get when they realized they had lost control over me. The next morning, I woke up, scrolled through my phone, and there it was. Caleb had posted on Facebook, "Family should be about love, not keeping score." Some people forget that. No names, no details, but the meaning was clear. I kept scrolling, already knowing what was coming next. Sure enough, Jenna had commented under her post, "Sad when people let pettiness ruin relationships. Some people only want to be family when it benefits them." Classic. Now they were trying to spin the whole thing as if I was the problem. I ignored it. I didn't comment, didn't like the post, didn't react in any way. Let them have their little pity party. A few hours later, my phone buzzed. A cousin had messaged me, "Hey, I saw Caleb's post, what's going on?" I left it on read. Then another message, this time from an aunt. "Your sister is really hurt. She says you've been acting distant. Maybe you should just apologize to keep the peace." Right, because keeping the peace always meant I had to be the one to back down. I replied once, short and simple, if they cared about peace, they wouldn't have ignored me for years. No response. Then Jenna tried a different approach. This time, he sent me a long message directly. "Lily is so sad. He kept asking why you weren't there. I don't know why you're being so childish about this. You're an adult. Act like one. Are you really willing to throw away family over something this stupid?" I didn't reply. A few hours later, my mom called. I let it ring. She called again and again. Finally, I picked up. "You know I raised you better than this," she started. There it was, the classic disappointed mom speech. I let her talk about how family is important, about how I shouldn't let a small misunderstanding cause a divide, about how I needed to be the bigger person. I didn't argue, I just asked one question, so when I was ignored that was okay? But now I have to grovel? Silence. I waited. Nothing. Then finally she sighed. "I just don't want the family to be like this." "Then tell them to fix it," I said. "I'm not the one who started this." More silence. Then she mumbled something about how she had to go and hung up. A few minutes later, my phone buzzed again. "Jenna, once again, we didn't mean to hurt you, but you're still overreacting." A fake apology if I'd ever seen one. Then Caleb jumped in with one last attempt. "This is getting ridiculous. You're being selfish. Just let it go already. Let it go." The same people who had been blowing up my phone, posting about me on social media and dragging extended family into it, were now telling me to let it go. I didn't reply. I just opened my social media settings and restricted both of them from seeing my posts and stories. No more access. No more drama. For the first time in years, I felt like I wasn't letting them walk all over me. I had a feeling this wasn't over, but whatever came next, I was ready for it. I thought after I ignored the social media guilt trip, they'd move on, maybe complain to each other for a while, then go back to treating me like I didn't exist until they needed something again. But I underestimated how determined they were to pull me back in. 2 days after I restricted them on social media, my mom called. Not a casual check-in, not another guilt trip. This time, it was a demand. "We all need to clear the air. Come over for dinner." Not a request, a command. It didn't take a genius to see where this was going. Caleb and Jenna weren't getting the reaction they wanted out of me, so now they were using Mom to set up a face-to-face ambush. I almost declined. Almost. But a part of me wanted to see just how far they'd take this. So I agreed. The second I walked into my mom's house, it was obvious what this really was. Caleb and Jenna were already there, sitting side by side on the couch, arms crossed. Neither of them said a word as I walked in, but the tension was thick. Mom was in the kitchen, setting the table, pretending like this was a normal family dinner. I sat down. No one touched their food, no small talk, no casual conversation. Just silence until Mom finally spoke. "This family is falling apart because of one misunderstanding." There it was, the script. She launched into a speech about how things had gotten out of control, how I was being too harsh, how Lily was just a child and didn't deserve to feel abandoned. I let her talk. I waited. And when she finally finished, I leaned back and asked one question. "So if me missing one birthday can ruin everything, then what did all of you missing my birthday mean?" Silence. For the first time, Caleb and Jenna didn't have an instant comeback. Then Caleb scoffed. "It's not the same. You're an adult." Right there it was. I nodded. Then why do you still expect me to play party planner for your kids? Jenna jumped in, trying to smooth things over. I didn't mean to hurt you, but it's just different when it comes to kids. Different, of course. Conveniently different. That's when the real reason for this little ambush finally came out. Caleb sighed like she was making some big sacrifice and said, Look, I just think we need to fix this. Lily was really hurt. Maybe we can do a little something for him. Nothing big, just a small belated birthday thing. It doesn't have to be a party, but something nice. There it was, the entire reason for this setup. This wasn't about making peace. This wasn't about me. This was about them realizing they actually had to do things themselves. I laughed. Not a small chuckle, a full, unfiltered laugh. Jenna's face twisted in irritation. Caleb's jaw clenched. Mom looked at me like I had slapped someone. I stood up, still smiling. You seriously dragged me here to try and guilt me into throwing a backup birthday party? They didn't answer, which was answer enough. Caleb shook her head. You're being selfish. Jenna glared. You're acting like a stranger. This isn't you. Mom sighed dramatically. Stop being petty and just fix things. And that was it. The final push, the confirmation I needed. If I have to earn my place in this family by being your free event planner, then maybe I don't want to be in it. I turned, grabbed my bag, and walked out. Caleb called after me. Jenna muttered something under his breath. Mom huffed. I didn't stop. I didn't turn around. I walked out of the house, got into my car, turned off my phone, and drove home. For the first time in years, I wasn't just refusing to be part of their cycle. I was walking away from it completely. And the best part? I had never felt more at peace. I knew Caleb and Jenna wouldn't just let this go. Walking out of that ambush dinner was a clear message. They weren't in control anymore. And people like them, they don't handle losing control well. I expected them to be mad. What I didn't expect was just how childish they'd get about it. At first, they went no contact, but not in a normal way. This was performative no contact, designed to make sure I noticed. Caleb and Jenna stopped messaging me completely, but I started hearing about them through other people. Family members suddenly started bringing them up in conversation, as if testing to see if I'd react. My mom made offhand comments like, "Oh, I don't know what's going on with Caleb these days. She's been so distant. They wanted me to ask. They wanted me to care. I didn't." Then came the social media posts. A few days later, Caleb posted, "Some people don't know what family means until they lose it." The comments were full of the usual supportive nonsense. So true. Family should always come first. People are so selfish these days. Jenna, of course, was in the comments immediately, sad when people put their egos over their family. But some of us still know what loyalty means. Right. Loyalty. The same people who couldn't even remember my birthday were now experts on family loyalty. I didn't respond. I didn't comment. But I knew they were waiting for me to. They wanted me to take the bait. My mom naturally stepped in next. The text started coming in. "I don't want this family torn apart over something so small. You're all being so stubborn. Just talk to them. This is breaking my heart. You used to be so close." Then the aunts joined in. A couple of them messaged me, suddenly checking in. One even said, "Your siblings are really upset. I don't know exactly what happened, but they're saying you just abandoned them." There it was, the rewrite of history. I replied to the first aunt, short and simple. They know where to find me if they want to talk. No response. A week later, I heard from a cousin that Caleb and Jenna had been telling people I hated kids and had purposely hurt Lily just to be petty. That was the new story. I wasn't just standing up for myself anymore. I was the evil uncle who had cruelly broken a child's heart. I ignored it. Let them spin whatever story they wanted. Then my mom invited me to another dinner. Just a small one, she said. Just to talk. Not falling for that twice. I declined. She sighed heavily, like I was personally ruining her life. "I just don't want this family to fall apart." I repeated what I had told her before, then tell them to fix it. She didn't respond. Then Caleb made one last desperate attempt. A text out of nowhere. "If you're ready to apologize, let's talk." Not "we should talk." Not "let's work things out." If I was ready to apologize. That told me everything I needed to know. I sent one reply. For what? Not being your unpaid babysitter? No response. A few days later, I went to a friend's birthday party. For the first time in years, I wasn't stressing over decorations, cake, or whether a sibling would dump last-minute responsibilities on me. I just showed up and had fun. No guilt, no pressure, no drama. And that's when it hit me, my siblings never actually cared about me. They cared about what I did for them. A few nights later, one last text came through. Jenna, of course, just remember, when you need us one day, we won't be there. The final attempt at control. The last shot at guilt. I replied one last time, you never were. Blocked. Cutting them off was the best decision I'd ever made. And the funniest part, they were struggling without me. The first sign came when a cousin mentioned that no one had organized a family gathering for Easter. Normally, I would have handled the logistics, who was bringing what, where it was happening, what time we'd eat. This year, Caleb and Jenna didn't step up. Mom refused to take over. The day arrived and half the family didn't even know if they were supposed to show up somewhere. It ended up being a complete mess with a last-minute thrown-together meal at my aunt's house that most people skipped. Then Caleb decided she'd try to get Mom to take over the family planner role. She started calling her more, dropping hints about how much work it was to arrange things, work she had never realized even needed to be done before. Jenna, on the other hand, assumed he could handle it, saying, "How hard can it be?" When the topic came up, Mom wasn't having it. She had no interest in playing event coordinator, especially not after watching how much of a headache it had been for me. She shut that down fast, leaving Caleb and Jenna with no choice but to figure things out on their own. Jenna's turn to struggle came next. His oldest kid's birthday rolled around, and for the first time, he had to handle the planning himself. A cousin later filled me in on how that went. Apparently, the party was a total disaster. The decorations were last minute and barely there. The cake was one of those bland grocery store ones with no customization. He forgot to order food until the morning of, so they ended up with whatever was left at the nearest takeout place. Parents started leaving early, the kids got bored fast, and Jenna ended the day in a bad mood. It was the first time he truly experienced what it was like to plan a party without me carrying the weight. A week after that, Caleb texted me out of nowhere. "Want to get coffee? Let's start fresh." It was almost laughable. After months of ignoring me, after dragging my name through the mud to extended family, after trying to guilt-trip me at every turn, now she wanted to start fresh. Translation, she realized I wasn't coming back, and she needed something, probably help with an upcoming event or party. I didn't even bother with an excuse. Just a simple, "No, I'm good." Not long after, I started hearing whispers about how some of the family was concerned about the whole situation. Some aunts and uncles thought I was being too harsh by refusing to engage. A cousin asked me outright if I was really planning to cut Caleb and Jenna off over just one fight. I reminded her that this wasn't about one incident. It was about years of being treated like an afterthought. Then my aunt tried to play mediator again. "You're being stubborn, just talk to them and work it out." I ignored it. I wasn't playing this game anymore. The real surprise came when my mom finally admitted the truth. She called one night, and after some awkward small talk she hesitated before saying, "I see your point. But it's hard to watch my kids fight." She wasn't outright taking my side, but for the first time, she wasn't blindly defending them either. She had seen the fallout firsthand. She had watched Caleb and Jenna flail without me, had heard the complaints, had witnessed the way they had expected her to pick up my role. And she didn't want it. I told her, "Then tell them to fix it. I'm not the one who started this." She didn't argue. That was a first. A few weeks later, she brought up Lily's birthday again, this time more casually. "Are you sure you don't want to just stop by? You don't have to stay long, just say hi to him." There it was, the last-ditch attempt. I didn't even hesitate, no. This time she didn't push. She sighed, let it drop, and moved on to another topic. It was the first real sign that she was finally accepting things as they were. Caleb and Jenna didn't reach out again. Not once. The silence was loud. They hadn't wanted me back in their lives. They had wanted what I could do for them. The moment they realized I wasn't going to play my old role, they stopped trying altogether. For the first time, I felt free. No obligations, no last-minute family expectations, no resentment over constantly being taken for granted. I saw family in a new way now. It wasn't about obligation, it wasn't about giving endlessly just because we shared blood. It was about effort, mutual effort. And Caleb and Jenna had shown exactly how little they cared the second I stopped being useful. They had every opportunity to fix things. They just didn't want to put in the work. I wasn't going to chase them. If they ever did reach out again, it would be on my terms. A few months had passed since I cut off Caleb and Jenna, and my life had never been more peaceful. No last-minute party planning, no passive-aggressive guilt trips, no sudden requests to fix problems that weren't mine to begin with. Just complete silence. Then Thanksgiving rolled around. For years, I had been the one who organized the big family Thanksgiving dinner. I coordinated the guest list, assigned dishes, reminded everyone what they needed to bring, and made sure everything ran smoothly. Without me, it was only a matter of time before things started falling apart. I stayed quiet. I didn't bring up Thanksgiving, didn't ask if plans had been made, didn't so much as acknowledge that it was coming up. I wanted to see how long it would take before the panic set in. A week before Thanksgiving, my mom texted me, "Are you coming to Thanksgiving? No one has planned anything." There it was. I replied with a simple, "I wasn't invited." She followed up quickly, "Well, I just assumed you'd come. You always handle everything." I told her, "I guess someone else needs to step up." And then I waited. 2 days before Thanksgiving, Caleb and Jenna finally realized what was happening. With no one in charge, there was no venue, no organized menu, and no structure. Some people assumed the dinner was happening at Caleb's house, while others thought Mom was hosting. Meanwhile, Jenna had volunteered to bring dessert, but hadn't actually planned anything beyond that. Caleb, in full crisis mode, turned to Mom. She wanted her to take over, to cook the main dishes, to make sure everything was ready like I always did. Mom refused. She told her she was tired, getting older, and not interested in handling an entire Thanksgiving dinner alone. She suggested that maybe she and Jenna should take on more responsibility. According to a cousin who witnessed it firsthand, Caleb looked completely blindsided by the idea that she would have to do actual work. With time running out, Jenna decided to host at his house. That decision alone was a disaster waiting to happen. Thanksgiving Day arrived, and the chaos unfolded in real time. Jenna, completely unprepared, forgot to buy key ingredients and had to make a last-minute grocery run. He miscalculated cooking time, so half the dishes weren't done on schedule. He burned the rolls, undercooked the turkey, and ended up making a store-bought pumpkin pie the only edible dessert. Guests started showing up, expecting a full Thanksgiving spread, only to find that dinner was nowhere near ready. The house wasn't decorated. The food situation was a mess, and people were standing around awkwardly, whispering about how unorganized it all was. At one point, an uncle asked, "Didn't my name usually handle this?" That's when things started to unravel completely. Realizing the disaster unfolding, Caleb did exactly what I expected. She called me. The second her name popped up on my phone, I knew why she was reaching out. "If you're not busy, can you just come help? It's for Mom." I didn't even hesitate. Oh, I completely forgot. It slipped my mind. The same excuse they always gave me when they forgot my birthday. She paused, clearly not expecting that response. I let the silence hang before saying, "I hope you guys figure it out. Happy Thanksgiving." And then I hung up. Back at Jenna's house, things got worse. People started leaving early. The food was barely edible. There was tension in the air, with family members noticing how disorganized everything was. A cousin later told me that after most of the guests had left, Caleb and Jenna got into a full-blown argument. Caleb blamed Jenna for taking over when he clearly couldn't handle it. Jenna blamed Caleb for not stepping up sooner. Mom sat there watching her kids fight, saying nothing. Meanwhile, I had the best Thanksgiving I'd had in years. I went to a Friendsgiving, surrounded by people who actually wanted me around, not because they needed me to do something for them, but because they enjoyed my company. There was amazing food, real laughter, and not a single second of stress. No family drama, no obligations, just peace. And as I sat there eating a perfectly cooked meal and listening to my friends share what they were thankful for, I realized something. I was thankful too. Thankful that I had finally broken free from a family that only valued me for what I could do for them, and thankful that for once, I wasn't the one cleaning up their mess. After the Thanksgiving disaster, Caleb and Jenna finally had to face reality. Without me around, they actually had to do things themselves, and instead of stepping up, learning from their mistakes, and growing into responsible adults, they did what they always did. They made me the villain. A few days after Thanksgiving, Caleb took to Facebook. Some people think they're better than family. Funny how quick they forget who was always there for them. The comment section filled up fast with the usual sympathy from people who had no idea what was really going on. Family should always come first. People are so selfish these days. Real ones never forget where they came from. Jenna wasted no time jumping in exactly. Sad to see selfishness win. It was the same pattern as before. No direct mention of me, but enough bait to get extended family talking. And sure enough, it worked. A few aunts chimed in within hours. "Are you okay?" I saw Caleb's post. "What happened? Jenna seems really upset. Maybe you should talk to him." I ignored every single message. If Caleb and Jenna wanted to air things out publicly, they could go right ahead. I wasn't playing their game. Mom, of course, got involved next. She called, starting with her usual exasperated sigh before saying, "I just wish you'd all get along again." I waited. Then came the real reason for the call. "People are saying you abandoned the family out of spite." Right. Because deciding I wasn't a free event planner anymore was abandonment. I didn't argue, I just listened. And when she finally paused, I told her, "I'm not going to defend myself to people who weren't there." She sighed again, muttered something about how this was so sad and hung up. A few days later, a cousin texted me with an update. Apparently, Caleb and Jenna were telling people that I had purposely ruined Thanksgiving by refusing to help, that I had turned my back on the family for no reason, and that I had always been difficult. Then a mutual friend reached out cautiously, asking if I was okay. "They remaking it sound like you just cut off your family for fun," she said. That was when I decided to set the record straight, without saying a word. I went into my old photos and found a throwback picture from one of the birthdays I had planned. Balloons, decorations, a carefully made cake, everything that I had done year after year while getting nothing in return. I posted it with a simple caption, "Crazy how much effort I put into people who never appreciated it." That was all, no rant, no direct call-out. Just a reminder of the years of work I had done, the very work they were now trying to erase. The reaction was instant. Extended family started finally putting two and two together. A few even commented things like, "Wait, weren't you the one who always planned everything?" Someone replied, "I thought he was the one who did all the kids' birthdays." The comments kept rolling in, and Caleb and Jenna noticed. They tried to do damage control, replying with vague responses about how it's not about the past, it's about what's happening now, and we all make sacrifices for family. But they couldn't argue with the proof. The pictures were there, the reality was there, and they had nothing to stand on. Mom called again. This time, she didn't sound exasperated. She just sounded tired. "I just wish they'd realize how much you did for them." I told her, maybe they will, but that's not my job anymore. And for the first time, she didn't argue. After that, more people started quietly taking my side. Some aunts and cousins stopped engaging with Caleb and Jenna's social media pity posts. A few family members reached out, not to pressure me but just to check in. Then Jenna went silent. No more cryptic Facebook posts, no more vague comments. He had realized he'd been caught, and for the first time in years, I felt like I wasn't carrying the weight of their nonsense anymore. Months passed. Life was peaceful. No last-minute texts demanding favors, no passive-aggressive guilt trips, no drama, just quiet. At first, the silence had felt strange, almost unnatural after years of being the one keeping everything together. But the longer it went on, the more I realized how much better things were without my siblings constantly taking advantage of me. I honestly thought I'd never hear from them again. Then, out of nowhere, Caleb reached out. "Hey, can we talk?" No long-winded explanation, no fake concern, just a short message. I stared at it for a while. She wasn't the type to reach out unless she wanted something, so my first instinct was to ignore it, but curiosity got the better of me. I finally responded, keeping it short. What for? Just talk. In person. Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet her at a coffee shop, not because I expected anything meaningful, but because I wanted to hear what excuse she was going to throw at me this time. When I walked in, Caleb was already there, stirring her drink, looking uncomfortable. She didn't launch into demands or accusations like before. Instead, she just blurted it out. I took you for granted. I see that now. That caught me off guard. Then she admitted the real reason she was reaching out. Jenna and I tried doing everything ourselves, and it's hard. She went on about how they had struggled through the past few months. Birthdays, holidays, family gatherings. Everything had been a disaster. Planning, organizing, keeping things running smoothly, none of it had come naturally to them. I didn't say anything. I just let her talk. Then she dropped something I never thought I'd hear. I should have remembered your birthday. Out of all the things she could have said, that was the one that truly shocked me. Apparently, Mom had finally told her the truth. How I had been the one holding everything together for years. How I had quietly done everything while they took it for granted. How it had never been my job to carry them. And for the first time, she actually listened. She hesitated before continuing. Jen is struggling. He thought it'd be easy, but it's not. That didn't surprise me. The moment he realized how much effort went into everything, he probably panicked. Then came the real question. I don't expect you to fix things. I just don't want to lose you completely. I took a long pause. I wasn't expecting that. For a split second, I thought about letting her back in, about putting the past behind us. But then I asked the question I had been holding back. Would you have realized this if I hadn't walked away? Caleb didn't answer immediately. She exhaled sharply, staring at her drink. Then quietly she admitted, probably not, and that said everything. I finally made my decision. I'm not ready to be close again. But we can talk sometimes. That was the best I could offer. As for Jenna, he hadn't reached out. No apology, no acknowledgement. Just silence. I didn't unblock him. I didn't see the point. I left the coffee shop knowing that for the first time in my life, I wasn't carrying the weight of my family's responsibilities. No more being the unpaid event planner. No more guilt tripping. No more fixing problems that weren't mine. And for the first time in forever, I felt free.